Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I am a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last several years, I've been focusing my attention on the Filles du Roi, in addition to other videos I produce, but largely I've been doing this. And I wanted to let you know that we're on episode 220. There are 700, so we've got a long way to go. But I'm having fun doing this, and so really, if you have any suggestions or comments that you need me to explore this or that one, please let me know. I'd love to get suggestions because I never know which one to pick. So I largely go with what a viewer has requested, and I put them in order, as much as I can. So with that being said, I want to also let you know ways you can support the channel. Subscribe, like, and notify are all ways that help my channel grow in terms of logarithm. If you want to go a step further and financially help the channel, you can do Patreon, which is a monthly subscription, anywhere from $1 to $25. And then we have a coffee, which is a one-time payment, and then of anywhere between one and whatever. And then we also have the PayPal on my website, Have Roots Will Travel. By the way, on my Have Roots Will Travel, if you're on there, you can go on there and explore by alphabetical or numerically all of the videos I've done to date, and click a link, and there you go. You can start watching. So whatever whatever you have that you would love for me to explore, please make sure you send me a note, okay? Thank you so much. I also want to do a shout out to Shelby for thanking me and gifting me with her amazing artwork. So thank you to Shelby for helping me make these videos even nicer and better, and I really appreciate your support. Thanks again. Turn to episode 220. Her name is Madeleine Guilleboeuf. And so it is a viewer request, and my technology associate, it's one of hers. It just worked out that way. So let's get to know Madeleine a little bit better. Madeleine was born in 1655 in Rouen, Normandy. Her parents were Nicolas Guilleboeuf and Madeleine Revillet, as you can see by the map, Normandy region, and the Seine-Maritime département or county. Now, Rouen is a city of just extraordinary history. It's on the River Seine in northern France. It's the capital of the region of Normandy. And it has played a prominent role in both English and French histories from the 11th to the 15th centuries. Joan of Arc was tried and burned alive here in 1431 in this area. Rouen is a city of both cultural and educational significance. And it was from this area that the Statue of Liberty sailed in June of 1885. I also want to say that Madeleine was, her parish was Saint Etienne. I tried to, as much as possible, do research on it, but I've come to the conclusion that it was destroyed and rebuilt as another church. So I don't have a picture of it. If anyone has any information on Saint Etienne, because I believe that's the name of the church, please let me know. Madeleine would come to La Nouvelle-France July 3rd, 1668. Anyone doing the math would know. She was 13 years of age. Just amazing. As was often the case, the younger they were, the more they would tend to go into the Maison Saint-Gabriel or stay in Quebec City, stay with the Ursuline convent. The Maison Saint-Gabriel was founded by Marguerite Bourgeois, who was herself the founder of the Congregation de Notre-Dame de Montréal. She was by far the most influential woman in Quebec, and certainly Montreal's history. She was born in France, and at the age of 33, she was invited to come to New France and establish a religious congregation and a school by Paul de Champmathieu de Maisonneuve, the governor of the French settlement. So she established not only the first school, but she also built a farm on Pointe Saint-Charles, which would in turn become the place where I believe there are 37 Filles du Roi who were housed here. The groom that she selected and who selected her, his name was Jean Plouffe, and he was born in 1643, making him about 12 years older, which is not a lot. He was born in Paris, France. His parents were Antoine Plouffe and Geneviève de Mest. He was part of the Faubourg Saint-Marceau or Saint-Marcel, which is located between the 5th and 13th arrondissement. It was nicknamed actually the suffering suburb because this district was for a long time the ugliest, the saddest, and the poorest in Paris. I'm quoting now from some research. The church where Jean would have been baptized would have been the Saint Martin, which obviously was destroyed prior to the revolution. So I found a picture of it. And then also this is the faubourg, another illustration of the faubourg as it existed at that time. Jean was a cobbler and he came to New France as an engagé. You can see him in the 1666 census and the 1667 census. He was in the household of Antoine Primot, and obviously worked out his apprenticeship in order to be married, because remember, you couldn't get married if you were engagé. By June 24th, 1669, they were married in Montreal. Family would settle at Verchères. Verchères is about 62 kilometers northeast of Montreal. It's, I'd say, about 30 miles. Situated on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River, between Longueuil and Sorel. In 1665, François Jarret, Sœur de Verchères, obtained a commission with the Carignan-Salers regiment, and he was sent to New France. In 1672, he was granted this seigneury of Verchères for his military service. During wartime, the seigneury was subjected to frequent Iroquois attacks. To combat this problem, de Verchères erected a palisade around the manor house. It was from the defense of this palisade that the legend of his daughter, 14-year-old Marie-Madeleine Jarret de Verchères, originates. And that's the statue of Marie-Madeleine. So Verchères has a very kind of an interesting history. Marie-Madeleine would go on to actually become the seigneuress of Sainte-Anne-de-la-Parade, and I visited that this past summer. And she was 14 years old and literally, defended her family and was able to protect them and keep them safe. So she was kind of a heroine at that time. Would eventually have 7 children. François would marry Marie-Kathleen Bon de Lacombe and have 4 children, all of whom would make it. Marie's mother was also fille du roi, Marie-Michel Duval, who we have not yet featured. Jean married Marie Chapocu and had 11 children, all of whom made it. Geneviève married Jacques-René Fouet and had 2 children, both of whom made it. She then married Antoine Vermet and had 4 children, 2 of whom made it. Antoine's mother was a fille du roi, Barbe Ménard, who we featured in episode 131. Madeleine married Paul Gertin and had 6 children, all of whom would make it. Joseph died in infancy. Louis married Marie Trochon and had 11 children, 10 of whom would make it. And as for Paul, their last son, we do not have any information on him. This is the 1681 census. We have Jean Blouf. He's a cordonnier, which means shoemaker, 38. Madeleine, his children Jean, Geneviève. Interesting to note that Françoise is not there, which tells us she's either gotten married, I know that seems incredible, or she's apprenticed somewhere, so we're not sure. So you always want to look at the census and really kind of verify like who's on it and who's missing. And then we have 4 bêtes à cornes, 4 goats, and 5 arpents valaires, about 4 acres of land, 3 to 4 acres of land. Jean would die on April 15th, 1700, and was buried the same day, suggesting that he had died of a contagious disease, possibly influenza. He and Marie-Madeleine were married 31 years. There's that satisfaction at least. And as is often the case in New France, one man dies and another arrives. The second groom, his name is Louis Foisy, and he was born in 1679, making him significantly younger than Marie-Madeleine. He was born in Champlain, Quebec, because his parents, Martin Foisy and Madeleine Baudouin, were already settlers in that area. There is no marriage record for them. We do not have a death record for Marie-Madeleine, but we know that she died somewhere between 1707 and 1711 when Louis married Marie-Madeleine Blais. Marie-Madeleine was between the ages of 52 and 57, very young to pass away. She and Jean would leave 64 descendants by 1729. Louis would go on to have 9 children with his second wife and would die in 1755 at the age of 76. Madeleine is featured in the book Les Filles du Roi, Pionnières des Seigneuries de Varennes et de Verchamp. Have a look at that. I put the links for you. I was delighted in my research to find, and I posted the link to the website, that Nos Familles Pionnières, 1670 to 1680, there they are. They are the fourth Jean Plouffe and Marie-Madeleine Guilleboeuf. And this is a statue that is dedicated to all of the early settlers, of which they are. And here are some of the resources I love to recommend. I've listed all of the web addresses for them. La Société des Filles du Roi, if you're interested in getting a certificate and kind of proof that you descend from one of these remarkable ladies, or the soldier, Carignan Sonia. You don't have, it's not necessarily a Fille du Roi. It can be just a soldier that married a local girl, for example, and then you would qualify. Once that process is over, they would then send you a beautiful certificate, and you would be a member and can have access to all of the great features. Now, if you choose not to be a member, or you can't join, because you have no descendancy but are just interested, you can actually elect to be an associate member for a much less fee, no paperwork needed, and you can have access to everything as well. So I recommend you check out lesfillesduroi.org and check it out. And just to let you know, I am the membership chairperson and I sit on the board as well. So I have a biased interest in it. But even before I did all that, I was using that site all the time. And so we end episode 220. I really like this episode. I just like the fact that they were these early pioneers of Verchamp and were able to really make a difference and had a quite significant amount of descendancy. So if you have, if this is your descendancy, you obviously can touch about Verchamp, the early part of Montreal. You can also know that you're part of that Maison Saint-Gabriel. So, their lives really touched a lot of different pieces of that French-Canadian history. So it's very fascinating. So thank you to the viewer who suggested. I really appreciate it. And thank you, too, to my patrons and supporters. Your contributions, both financial and emotional, are very much appreciated. So thank you to all of you who have being there for me. I appreciate that so much. So until I see you on episode 221, thank you and au revoir.